Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After Dark show for September 23rd, 2023. We're going to do week 3 NFL picks with the Saturday notes. Just some last second thoughts here before Sunday begins. And, hopefully you guys, everyone has a great picking Sunday. Looking forward to the slate. I like a lot of the games on the slate, so hopefully everything goes well. I'll talk about some of my latest thoughts on all these games. Please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that will mean a lot if you want to help support the show. And if you want to comment, doesn't have to be about the picks, it could be about anything. I'll answer it. I'll see it eventually. So let's get started here. Actually, I planned to start this like a half hour ago. My daughter would not fall asleep. She was crying for like an hour and a half straight. It was crazy. I didn't know what to do, and like eventually she let out this like huge man burp, and then she fell asleep. So that is why I wanted to start this at 10, but we're here anyway. Chargers at Vikings, the first game. I'm still not planning on betting this game. I talked about how this game is kind of like mystifying to me because the Chargers have so much more talent than Minnesota, especially defensively, but the defense has been dead last in the NFL. They just can't stop anyone, especially in coverage. They're good players, just not playing well. And like maybe we kind of know why Joey Bosa is not playing now. Like he's been on the injury report. Not sure if he's even going to play. I saw that he was limited, then DNP, then limited in practice this week. So if he's out, I may actually have interest in Minnesota. I think it's too late in the week to do a pick change on the site because a lot of people they'll look on the site and they'll submit it for like office pool picks and stuff like that on Friday. It's like a 0 unit pick anyway. It's not like a huge deal. But if I had to repick it on Sunday, if Joey Bosa's out, I would go with Minnesota. That's how close this is for me. I just again, I had no interest in betting this game. So let's move on. Titans at the Browns. So I cut this unit count down to 2. There's just some really shady like line movement here. Like at the beginning of the week, the sharp money was all over Tennessee, and then it just went away, and then the line went to 3.5. And I was actually kind of like asking around, like why could this be? Like why are the sharps kind of scared off of Tennessee? And like someone pointed out to me that this guy's a really good professional bettor. He said that if you think about it, the Tennessee at New Orleans in week 1. New Orleans was -3, and now Cleveland's only -3.5 over Tennessee. That's saying Cleveland's only half a point better than New Orleans, which is like not true. And it seems like there is an overreaction to how bad. I don't say like how bad the Browns were on Monday night. Like they lost it. Like they outplayed Pittsburgh outside of those like splash defensive plays and whatnot, plus the George Pickens touchdown. Like outside of those 3 plays, like Cleveland was the better team. And so like there just might be an overreaction here. I think the advanced spread was even 4.5, if I remember correctly. Let me see. It was 4.5. So it dropped a point, actually 1.5 before moving to 3.5. So I guess that's an overreaction. So like that kind of makes sense to me. I still like the Titans though. Not a lot. Like I said, I dropped this to 2 units. Mike Vrabel is just so good as an underdog. It seems like his teams always play close. He's 24-9 against the spread as an underdog of 3 or more. And on the flip side, you have Kevin Stefanski, who is 9-19 against the spread as a favorite. So like everything from that perspective says the Titans should cover. I'm not like a big trends guy, but I think like coaching trends kind of make sense. And like the Browns usually disappoint, and Deshaun Watson hasn't played well in 3 years. So maybe there's some merit. Like maybe that Tennessee New Orleans line was wrong to begin with. And I kind of think that was the case. I remember thinking Tennessee should have been favored. So like that would ruin that argument from that like sharp bettor I was talking about. So like, yeah, I just this weird line movement. I dropped the unit count, but I still like Tennessee though. We have Vikings on top. Matthias says Vikings on top, Titans on top. Then it says, welcome to the Wall Street Football Podcast. Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the next game, which is Texans at Jaguars. So I think on the site, I didn't fix this yet. I have 1 unit on the Texans. I'm not going to be betting this game. I didn't post this yet. I will in right after I'm done recording. Laremy Tunsil was ruled out, and I thought Laremy Tunsil would return. It's kind of like why I was a little bit more bullish on the Texans. I still think this is kind of it might be a rough spot for the Texans because the Jaguars are underrated defensively. They get after the quarterback really well. They stop the run pretty well. Now the Texans won in Jacksonville last year, and that might be like one of these weird divisional things, but they're going to be without 4 offensive linemen with Laramie Tunsil out. And I think like Tunsil was the big thing because like some of their backups were okay. Like their backup center was backing up a rookie center, and like he was a rookie too. And so like I thought that like that was kind of equal. The backup right tackle I thought was playing well, but for Tunsil, they don't have a replacement for him. He's just so good. And I think like without Tunsil going against a pass rush from Jacksonville featuring Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, I think that's going to be too much for the Texans to overcome. I think I'd still take him in a picking pool, but I have no interest in betting this game now. Patriots at the Jets. So I locked this in on Thursday, I think, Thursday morning at 2.5 minus, I think minus 111. This line has gone to 3 now, I think, in most places. I'm actually going to check the place where I bet it at minus 2.5, minus 111. It's 2.5 minus 113 there, bookmaker. So it's moved up a little bit, but I've seen like a lot of other sports books take this line to 3. And I think bookmaker might do the same thing eventually soon. I just think this is too much of a disadvantage for the Jets. Like Zach Wilson is just so bad, and Bill Belichick really feasts on terrible quarterbacks. I saw a stat saying that in his past 15 games, Belichick is 11-4 against the spread when facing a bottom 10 quarterback. And I think we know that Zach Wilson's a bottom 10 quarterback. So I think the Patriots definitely right side. I was asked, actually, I talked to Jacob today. He asked me if what I thought about the possible like heavy rain in this game. And first of all, like I hate the weather's angle, because if you think about it, like weathermen have they usually they're known for their bad track record. Now sometimes they definitely get stuff right. Like obviously they work. They have this job for a reason, but it's so hard to predict the weather, like even for the professionals. So I try not to worry about the weather because it's just so hard to predict. Like it could just change on a whim, and you just never know. Second, I think the hard rain would benefit the team with the better defense and running game. And I think the Jets defense, I think, is a little overrated. Like they look great in week 1, but only because Josh Allen was just making YOLO throws downfield for some reason. In week 2, they couldn't stop Dallas at all. I think the Patriots defense, you can make a case that they're better. Like they really shut down Jalen Hurts week 1. It's really impressive. And then week 2, they only held the Dolphins to 24 points, which is, I think, pretty impressive too. So I think the Patriots had the better defense, arguably, but they definitely had the better running game because Breece Hall is not 100%. Plus, the Patriots offensive line is looking like it's healthier, and the Jets offensive line is pretty bad. So I think the Patriots just have all the advantages here. So Cassandra says, I took 2.5 minus 115 on the Patriots today. I don't think it'll get better from here. Yeah, I think it'll get to 3 for sure at most sports books on Sunday morning. Saints of the Packers. So the Packers are down to 1.5. I think 1 even in some sports books. I dropped this to 2 units because Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins are going to be out. So that's 2 offensive linemen down for the Packers. Now Elton Jenkins hasn't played well, so it's like you could say like not a huge deal, but Bakhtiari being out is definitely a big deal. Now there's a possibility that Aaron Jones might be out too. He's questionable. At first I thought on the practice report it seemed like he would play better, but the Packers called up a running back on Saturday, so that might mean that Jones is out. But then I saw like the Packers always call this guy up. I think it's like Patrick Taylor. So there's no way knowing. Like if Aaron Jones is out, I'm going to not bet the Packers at all. I want to fade the Saints, but the Packers are just going to be so shorthanded. And I know like running backs aren't like it's not like the most meaningful position, but Aaron Jones is a factor in the passing game, whereas like AJ Dillon is not. So being down another passing option, if Jones is out and Christian Watson's out, the Packers are going to rely on just rookies again, plus Romeo Doubs. So that's not something I'm interested in against a Saints defense that's pretty good outside of the pass rush. All right, so yeah, like I said, it's definitely something to wait for on the injury report. Broncos at the Dolphins. I think I saw this line drop to 6 because Jalen Waddle got ruled out. So this offense is going to be Tua throwing to Hill and who else? Like Durham Smythe, River Craycraft, Braxton Berrios. Like I like the Broncos defense has been terrible this year, but I feel like the Dolphins shouldn't be that explosive without Waddle. Like, the Broncos could really like double, triple team Hill and like just make Tua work for it. And I don't trust the Miami offensive line either. And the Dolphins defense has not been good. They're 22nd in EPA. So the Broncos should be able to score. I think there's a chance the Broncos pull the upset. I bet the money line at plus 259. I took that as a sign, by the way. I went to my high school. It's the second oldest high school in the United States. It was Central High School. And the gimmick we had there was like, no one said like class of 2000 or whatever. They said class of 259, as in the 259th graduating class of Central. And I was 259 as we said it. And like the Broncos, I saw like the best number for the Broncos was plus 259, just like such a random number. Like it could have been 260 or whatever, 250 or 255. Like I saw it was 259. I was like, I took that as an omen that I should bet it. So it's only a unit, but I think that I think the Broncos should be able to keep this like super close. And I think that there's a chance they can win outright, as I said. Bills at the Redskins. I think there's some weather factors here, like with the Jets game, but we'll see. Like I said, it's so tough to predict the weather. I said this in the write-up. Like, if the Bills are focused for this game, they should be able to blow out the Redskins like pretty easily. The question is, will they be focused because they have Miami coming up? If the Redskins were like 0-2 or even 1-1, I'd say there's a chance the Bills wouldn't be. But like, just look at this line. It says Bills 1-1 at Redskins 2-0. Like the Redskins have the better record. They're undefeated. I think the Bills are going to be focused for that reason. I could be wrong. But yeah, I just I think that I think the Bills would be focused. And with I don't know if you guys remember Quacky Takes, who sometimes comes on the show. We have a joint super contest entry, and we have Buffalo as one of our choices. I'm not betting this game, but I could be talked into it though. Cinder says Memphis just scored, so it's good news because we could go 3-2 potentially in the college football picks again. I was so tilted because I wasn't watching the game. I was doing something else. And I had the phone on, and it said like Memphis was in the red zone, and then Missouri scored a field goal. It's like what happened? I don't know if there's like a turnover or something, or it was just like the game tracker was just misreading. But that's definitely good news. Glad to see that. Matthias says Saints on tap. Saints on top. Green Bay sucks. I like Green Bay, but they're so shorthanded right now. Falcons at the Lions. This line is only 3. So I was talking to Jacob and Quacky Takes on Friday because we do a call for our super contest selections, and like we kind of like all agreed that there's a chance like this line is just so mispriced. Like Atlanta should probably be favored. Now under normal circumstances, I say no because Detroit is. I obviously like Detroit. Like we've been on Detroit a lot, but the Lions are down so many players. They're down 3 starting defensive back to start. They're down 2 starting offensive linemen. Amon-Ra St. Brown is dealing with turf toe. They're down David Montgomery too. This team has so many injuries. I just don't know how they can compete really under normal circumstances. Like they just lost to Seattle at home, and I think Seattle is not a good team at all. And so like Atlanta, I think is better than Seattle, and I think that just looking at these rosters as how they're constructed heading into Sunday and factoring in all the injuries. I think you can make the case that the Falcons should be like -1, -2. I just don't know, like especially if like St. Brown is limited with that turf toe, which I think is going to be the case. I just don't know how the Lions beat the Falcons because the Falcons are so underrated. Outside of quarterback, like they're loaded everywhere. It's just the quarterback is the problem. But with 3 starting defensive backs out, Desmond Ridder could have a decent game. And like the Lions pass rush was so disappointing against Seattle. I definitely like Atlanta quite a bit. Last of the early games, Colts at Ravens. So I jumped on the Colts here. I think I bet them for 3 units. Okay. I was thinking about 4, but their center's going to be out. Ryan Kelly. Their backup is like this guy French, and like Jacob pointed this out, so I'll credit for him. I'll credit this to him. If you look at the last names of their center and right guard, it's French and then Fries. So that could be good, or it could be like pretty terrible for the Colts. I think the Ravens are just too banged up. They're missing 2 defensive backs. They're missing the top edge rusher. They're missing 2 offensive linemen. Obviously, the running back, two of the top 3 running backs too. Not that like means so much, but still it's something. And I think that the Colts should be able to keep this close. Like the Ravens, as they're built right now, shouldn't be relinquishing every single key number. All right, late games. We had the Panthers at the Seahawks. Cinder says Memphis pushed. Really? weren't they down 7 and they scored? I don't know. I've like I said, I've been recording, so I don't know. So anyway, we have Panthers at the Seahawks here, and I made this my pick of the month. It's just like everything's pointing to the Panthers. I think, like I said before, I don't think Seattle's good at all. Their defense is terrible. Their offense is missing their top 2 tackles. Now, this didn't matter against Detroit, but Carolina has a great pass rush. Like, they should be able to take advantage of this. So, and plus, like Geno Smith, as I've said before, he led the league in dropped interceptions last year. So I think like he's just an implosion waiting to happen. And I like Carolina's defense for sure. Andy Dalton starting for Carolina, so you don't have to worry about Bryce Young looking terrible. Dalton actually played well last year for the Saints. Like metric wise, he was like, I think he was like 4th in catchable passes or something like that. Like the metrics actually liked Andy Dalton a lot, and I think that the Panthers might look better with him. Seattle has nothing defensively to challenge him either. I think this line's like way too high. I think it should be around 2.5. Seattle's home field advantage has disappeared lately. Geno Smith, by the way, as a favorite of 3.5 or more, is 1-6 against the spread in his career. Just like everything pointing to Carolina here, the sharp money on Carolina. I definitely love the Panthers. I love the Panthers and Broncos. Honestly, I couldn't decide which one to make my pick of the month. Now, like, watch both of them lose now, but I definitely like them both a lot. Next, we have Cowboys at the Cardinals. The Cowboys have a ton of injuries now. Zach Martin is dealing with an injury. Tyler Bradish, their center, is dealing with injuries too. I think he was downgraded late in the week. Trayvon Diggs, their top cornerback, was he's out for the year. So the Cowboys suddenly have a ton of injuries, and Arizona has been competitive. I want to shout out Eitan Shander from the Odd Shopper Network, who said that he would like Arizona in the first half over the game, and I thought that made a lot of sense because in the past 2 weeks, or the 2 weeks that we've had so far, Arizona has looked really good in the first half, and then they've melted down in the second half. I think maybe because of just a lack of depth and just a lack of talent overall. So I think there's a chance that this game's close for the first half, and then like Dallas pulls away. So I might just bet the first half for Arizona and not worry about the rest of the game. That's just something I might do because we really had to kind of sweat that out. Like last week, like we had the Cardinals, whatever they were, against the Giants, and they were up 20-0 at halftime. I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be easy. And then suddenly, like the Giants are driving to like put the game away, and like if they scored a touchdown, like they would have covered. Like that would have been a disaster. So I don't want to have to worry about that. Bears at the Chiefs. This line's 13. I have this as a joint pick with Eitan, as I just mentioned him, in our super contest entry, the Chiefs. The Bears are terrible. They're the only team in the NFL with a bottom 5 offensive EPA and a bottom 5 defensive EPA. They're just by far the worst team in the league. And to top that off, they have their defense coordinator was dismissed because the FBI raided his house. So like this team is just looking like a disaster. And the Chiefs, like, so I've heard this argument against the Chiefs, like, they're like, oh, the Chiefs never covered these large spreads. And like, that's been true in the past. I don't know if I have the trend here, but I don't really. But anyway, like the Chiefs, like usually struggle to cover large spreads. But I think like that's before their defense was really good. Like their defense is ranked 5th now. They have an elite defense. So like before they had a bad defense that would just allow backdoor covers. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. Now, the one thing you can argue here is that the Chiefs are going to be potentially without their top 2 linebackers. And, those are the guys who are going to spy Justin Fields. So, like, if Justin Fields doesn't feel like playing like Drew Bledsoe this week and, like, just wants to run around, the Chiefs could have issues stopping him. The problem, though, is, like, the Bears' offensive line is a disaster, and the Chiefs have a good pass rush. So, I think the Chiefs are going to kill the Bears. I don't think it's going to be close. Steelers, the Raiders. So there's sharp money on the Raiders for some reason. I don't know why. The Steelers offenses look dreadful through 2 weeks, but they played the 49ers, who were 4th in defensive EPA, and then they played the Browns, who were 2nd in defensive EPA. The Raiders are 31st. It's a big downgrade here in competition for Kenny Pickett. So I think he might actually look pretty good. I love George Pickens. As a bonus, like Gunnar Olszewski's out, so like they don't have to worry about him fumbling. And like hopefully they get Jalen Warren more involved, and and Pat Fryermuth. So I like the Steelers here, even though the sharp money's on the Raiders. The 2 Monday night games, first one's the Eagles to the Buccaneers. So like the Eagles were thought of as the team that had the most injuries heading into the week, but it looks like the Buccaneers might have more injuries. Like suddenly Vita Vea is questionable, Devin White's questionable, Carlton Davis is questionable, Cody Mox is questionable. Like the Buccaneers could be missing some starters. Like maybe they all play. We'll see what happens before kickoff. But if the Buccaneers are down like all these players, I may just bet the Eagles. And then we have the Rams at the Bengals. So we don't have an official announcement on Joe Burrow yet. He's listed as questionable, but the Bengals signed AJ McCarron. Remember him? They signed him to be the backup for Jake Browning. So I think that's an indication that Burrow's going to be out. If he is out, I think the Rams might emerge as a favorite here, like -1.5, anywhere between 1.5 and 2.5. I don't think it'll be 3. When that happens, I'm going to bet the Bengals because I like betting good teams playing their backup quarterback, and like the Bengals are going to be motivated. They're still, I think, like quarterbacks aside, like I think they're still the better team. So I think we're going to get some good value with the Bengals. So, yeah, looks like that's about it. So, yeah, thanks for everyone for watching and listening and commenting. It means a lot. Please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description from the merch store. Like, good luck with your bets, everyone. And I'll have my final thoughts on all the picks on Sunday. So, yeah, I'll talk to you then.